how do you describe the experience of studying at Berklee?
Yeah. I wanted to continue music school because I knew that's something I wanted to because I knew already at that point I wanted to make a living out of it, and it seemed like the only thing to do after I finished high school, is to just go to music school. So I didn't apply to any other school. I had one goal, and my one goal was to go to Berklee, because I just wanted to do music. But before I was studying there, I studied lessons, studied drum lessons. And I was in the band, obviously, in high school. But and at that time I was already, kind of like teaching myself and learning more about music and trying to kind of prepare myself for school. So I was already, writing my own songs, and I was already performing professionally before school. So I just going to Berklee and music school was just kind of like the next chapter, because I knew I still wanted to go to school. I didn't want to just start working and gigging. I needed to do something, to and plus my parents wanted me to to go to school,
Classic.
and not just gig, and just do shows. Yeah.
And do you think it helped you by opening certain doors or by giving you certain tools to become a session musician, among other things?
Yeah, I learned, being in that environment was really, really amazing. I had a conversation yesterday with a musician colleague of mine in Hawaii, and he was asking. He's probably in his 50s, and he's a musician in Hawaii. But he was just telling me he didn't finish his college degree, and he was asking me about going to Berklee and asking about my experience. What was Berklee like? Because he wants to take online courses, and I told him I didn't really know much about the online courses because that was something that was developed, maybe within the last 10-15 years. But so what I was telling him, my Berklee experience was great because I was there, in person. I was able to, the facilities, to be in the classroom, to meet all of these, musicians from all over the world who travel there to go to this one school. The practice facilities, the teachers, being in the city, being in close to New York, where there was a lot of wonderful, great music. It was just a good environment to be in, and it didn't even. So I was telling my friend, it wasn't so much the classes I was excited about.
I understand. Yes.
It was more of just the atmosphere and the environment, and being with people from all over the world who all want to go to the school to play music, and some of the classes were really I was looking forward to, that other schools didn't offer, but they have harmony classes and ear training classes just like any other university, but it was just being in that environment and just what the school had to offer in terms of the teachers and the master classes and the clinics and the concerts, and just having, because musicians from all over the world know Berklee, so they're all going to travel, go to Berklee, and do concerts, like guest musicians. So I don't know so much about the online courses, so I couldn't really help out my friend, but I could tell him that my experience was memorable for me just because I was there, at the school.
Do you meet, I don't know, maybe people from Argentina in particular?
Yeah, so this is how I was able to do the video with Residente, is because my friend is his musical director, and that's how he asked me to do the video. And because we had class together at Berklee,
Yes.
And it was both of our first semester, together, and that's where I met him. He's from Argentina. His name is Leo Genovese, and he's the keyboardist for Residente, and he's played with a lot of great jazz musicians, Esperanza Spalding, Jack DeJohnette, Joe Lovano, a lot of great jazz musicians. So I kind of lost contact with him, but we were Facebook friends, and but we don't really talk very often. But he knew that I played ukulele, so when the song came up, and he was they were looking for a ukulele player, my friend Leo said, I know the best ukulele player.
Amazing.
He contacted me, and that's how I was able to do the video with Residente.
Great.
I'm sure that there are a lot of musical cities in the US, and do you have a special place for New York City or the East Coast in that aspect? Like, do you believe it's one of the most musical towns in the US?
Right. Well, when I started, when I first went to Berklee, like my first year, I was really studying. I was into jazz. I wanted to study jazz, and I was really into playing only jazz. I didn't think about. Actually, I didn't even play ukulele yet at that time. I was just playing drums, and I wanted to pursue, just to be a 100% jazz musician, and New York was the place, it's the jazz capital of the world. Berklee was right there, obviously there were a lot of other great schools in New York, but I already knew at the time that I wanted to go to Berklee, but at least it was close by. It's only a 4 to 5 hour bus ride away. So so towards the end of when I was at Berklee, I was going down to New York maybe every other month, maybe just to go down and hang out. So I spent a lot of time in New York and seeing music, just a great city. So that was what I was really inspired, musically. But then as things went on, and I started playing ukulele, and you get older and you start to think about life. And so, by the time I was done with Boston, because I grew up in Hawaii. I'm from Hawaii. Living in the East Coast in Boston or New York is very different from Hawaii. Hawaii is warm weather. There's there's water, there's the beach, and then in New York it's cold and half the year, and so I feel like I was fortunate to have that experience. But by the time I finished school, I thought about, okay, what am I going to do, as a, like where am I going to settle down and establish myself as a musician? And I was kind of already over that lifestyle of living there. So after school, I moved back to Hawaii for about 2 years to kind of work and save up, because I was a broke college student. So I worked and saved up, and then I moved to Los Angeles, and Los Angeles seemed like the only other option for me, because there's also a lot of great music here in Los Angeles, but it's still very close to Hawaii, where my family is. So it's a lot easier to visit home,
Right, and you didn't just want to settle in Boston or in New York.
Yeah, I was kind of done with East Coast and Boston and New York. Yeah, I feel like I got to really do as much as I wanted to when I was living out there. Yeah, so I can say that I feel like I lived in New York, even though I didn't really live there, because I spent so much time there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe Berklee is a place where you learn a lot of music, but not only from your teachers. Maybe you learn a lot by sharing with your musician friends. It's like this music mood that you feel when you are sharing your life with musicians and people that care about music.
Yeah, it's really the community that I really got out of the school. Just like when I was explaining to my friend yesterday, if you take online classes, you're only going to learn from the classes. There's no community, if you're going to take these online classes. But when you're there at the school, you're in it. You're surrounded by these people, and so guys like Leo. I have musician colleagues, who all over the world, and even though we don't keep in touch regularly, if I'll never forget who they are, and as the person from Hawaii, a lot of my classmates who I went to school with, they know that I'm the person from Hawaii, and it's. I've formed groups like about what is that? It's like 7 or 8 years ago. We formed a group because one of my friends who, we lost touch after school, but he randomly contacted me and he was saying he's a piano player, and he lives in New York, but he randomly messaged me and saying, I want to go to Hawaii. What? Can we set something up? Can we play? I'm like, great, sure. That turned into a period where we had a group for about 4 years, and we recorded 2 albums. So it's, you never know what can come out of it. There was another group that I was part of, that I met. We all met at school, and they're all from Korea, from South Korea. And I was in that jazz group for about 8 years. 8 years, and I recorded 6 albums with them. So there was a period in my life where I was, touring and going to Korea, quite a bit. And all of this just, all of this was possible because I was at Berklee, and really kind of had nothing to do with the courses. It was just being there and being surrounded by people and making friends and playing music, with each other. So a lot of the jam sessions, that's really what the Berklee experience is about. Those jam sessions, those recording sessions at 2 a.m, those moments where you're in the practice room, literally through the night, and you're just hanging out with the other people who are practicing through the morning. And it's those experiences that I remember the most, and to me that's what the experience was all about.